Namaste. Thank you for having me. Thank you for being in my classes. Oh, I might have to fix my sound. I'm not sure if I'm going to blow my mic or not. There's a lot of interesting energy today. Give me a second while I go ahead and pull up the chat so that I can listen to you guys and interact with you. All right. I don't have anybody here yet. So I'll just wait. I'll just wait until people want to start chatting because this is going to be a big one. When we first were attempting to find out which class to choose in the polls, and it was between the 1212 portal and the end of the year 2017 talks about the 1212 portal and what it means to light workers. Someone also mentioned that, she was having some issues with this karmic cycle, this ever perpetuating cleansing and release that occurs a lot. And she said she gets sick a lot, and then she feels like she's cleansed and purged and healed it, and then she'll get sick again. And to me, it's so much more than that. It's more than just you're getting sick, okay? It's the human condition that's being stripped and released, and it feels to me, and I'm a big part of it too, it feels like a rake that's coming through my entire physical and energetic systems, and it looks like this, except you imagine nails on chalkboard during it. It has not felt good. So there was no way that I could talk about one really and not talk about the other. So we decided to combine these classes and just answer all your questions in terms of what you're going through with this release. When 1212 came about, I wasn't really expecting anything, yet I never am, because most of the time I'm in a non-dualistic state, and I'm like, oh yeah, another thing that people are predicting, but it's always what it is. It's a big wave of consciousness that's coming through. And I thought, well, for sure, it can't be that hard. I don't really feel it yet. And then boom, viral meningitis. You guys remember that? So for me, my personal experiences with it as a healer from the Angelic Collective, which a lot of you who are watching are, it has been brutal. I mean, I'm not even going to try to sugarcoat this information. It was incredibly difficult and still is. And I feel like it's still open, this 1212 portal. And what it's about, I'll just go ahead and give you what I got from Astrea, the divine mother of Elohim and the fractal of my higher self who speaks to me most. She said that it's a collective of light workers, that as you are going through your biggest awakenings, the 1212 portal will be a catalyst for it. And last night when I was in my dream state and in the astral realms, I was with her, and she was showing me this tiny little portal, and I will write to you what it looks like. I actually brought my favorite teaching tool, a Sharpie marker. Yeah. I need to hire a graphic artist to like write everything that's in my head, because I'm not an artist, and it's one of these things that when I try to teach a class and show you what's happening in here, and then I can't. So there's me, happy little stick figure here. Here you go. If you can imagine Pamela right here. And then there's this tiny little portal that looks like this. You see that? So here's me. Here is the beginning of the wormhole that this entire body, because my light body is huge, has to go through. And when you're in this part of it, the portal is squeezing and just basically compressing all that is within you. And that as you expand, when you come out of the portal, you are re-experiencing yourself. So when you're in the portal, okay, here's little Pamela in the portal. Woohoo, flying through. I know, right? Completely rudimentary. Never said I was an artist. So here's me, and there's this little me So little egoic me is being compressed and squashed through this portal, and it does not feel good because every single thing that you think you are in your wholeness and in your bigness and in your Christ conscious glory um, will really, really be pulled through this, and the little you will be what you feel, and it will be the only thing that you feel in this time. Is that every portion of your ego that needs to be honored and integrated will come through, so you will feel that squashing. I know, right? I'm not a drawer, I'm sorry. But I'm not, because it is at least humorous, right? So when you come out, what you'll notice is the universe kind of throws you out of it, and you're like, okay, I'm experiencing myself bigger. I'm experiencing myself bigger. I'm experiencing myself freaking huge. Do you see how that feels to go through that? You know? So if you think you know and you think you're already awake, when you go through this and you compress every portion of you that is ego into such a small, tiny portal vortex type space, you see aspects of you that you did not know was there. And that's the fun thing. Okay. So that's incredible. Yeah, it is like birth. It's like the part of you that really needs to expand and be pulled through that portal. That part of you will be what you face the most. If you, and particularly what Estrella was telling me this morning, is that it's about releasing judgments of ourselves and others. And if you have done that, then you will be releasing attachments. So for me, it's attachments. You know, that is why I'm fasting right now, because my particular attachment and habitual nature is food. So if I fast, then I have to face every level of emotional component of me that I hide when I emotionally eat. You know, so liquid tea, here we come. Mary said it looks like Superwoman flying through a portal. Oh, Katie, she said, I had a dream last night and I remember connecting with God's source energy. I turned into a fly and I started flying. And as soon as I realized I was flying, I woke up. Yeah, that's the thing. And when you realize your bigness, which this is what this is about, thinking you know something, really, really minimalizing every aspect of yourself into just egoic form and really looking and traveling with your ego and then expanding back into your fullness and Christ conscious energies. It's an acceleration. So when you come out of that portal, you have to experience all levels of yourself expanding, which is also really, really unique. It's tough, huh? It's a really unique one. I've never quite been through a portal, and I kind of minimalized it in most of my predictions about this portal. I was like, well, you know, I know it's going to happen, but I don't even feel portals anymore. So how am I really going to feel something? I'm already awake. So for a lot of the Earth Angel Collective that thought that they were awake and thought that they knew like me, you realize that the more you know, the less you know. And you go back to this blankness, and it's like a reset, because when you are in back to this rudimentary drawing of the portal and me before the portal, me during the portal, and then me expanding after the portal, when you're in here in this tight little space, what I call this space is the void. So for those of you who are familiar with alchemy, you understand the void, or you are a shaman, you're very familiar with the void. If you are that, when you're in there, it's like being just squashed all up to where you have no means of bypassing. Everything that you need to look at, you will look at in a brand new way. So what I was attached to was also my fear that people were judging me. So insignificance was the particular emotional core belief that came out, like insignificance and shame-based levels of ways that I was like really concerned about. And then what happened was it pulled everything into that portal with me. So everybody that was aligned to shaming and attacking and judging me, they were right there in my face. So it was there, like they were going through the portal with me. And I'm like, dude, why can't I get away from all this judgment? And the universe is like, because you did stop judging other people, but you were still judging you. So that was my particular thing, was to look at that and to understand that everyone that I thought was judging me was related to a karmic cycle of cleansing and release, wherein I learned to stop judging myself. Tricky, huh? You don't even know you're doing it. And then people start showing up. Yeah, it's me doing it to myself. Exactly, Tressa. So you don't really look at it like that until you are going through the 1212 portal. You don't really see it until you do. And then when you do, it's like, oh, holy cow, I don't really love myself still. Still, the whole lifetime longing and learning when it comes to the self-love, and yet we still don't have it. So that is why the 1212 portal had to occur, because you needed a good squashing. And then as you come out of the portal, I'm going to show you this again. When you squash all that together, it's a compression, is what most alchemists call it. And then when you come to the tail end of the portal, it's a release. And when you're being released so quickly, you accelerate very quickly. So all the little U's become bigger and bigger and bigger in your light body. So this particular portal was for the alchemists of Earth. It was for the light workers. It was really, really for all of you to get through that. Those of you who are coming through the alchemy, healing protocols, and those particular missions of compassionate acceptance. Those of you who are coming through the missions of compassionate awareness. That's a lot of you who are listening. And compassionate empowerment. So it was all about compassion and learning to accept things without judging. And then finally, releasing attachments to everything that you think you are, everything that you think you know. You will look at things through, when you go through this portal and everything becomes compressed like that, and you come out and you begin to accelerate bigger and bigger and bigger. Sorry for my rudimentary examples, but here's human me thinking that I'm awake and know everything, and then it's poof. No, you don't. You're squashed, you're compressed, you lose friends, you lose family, you're losing livelihood, you're feeling like you're losing because everything's compressed and you don't see all this right now. All you see is little you. So you're like, oh, this is going down. But then when you come out the other side, you're accelerating bigger and bigger and bigger than even this was. So within that particular portal of expansion, your debris, when you come out, this is like a rake. You see these little lines here? It's like an energy rake. And when you go through it and accelerate, everything that no longer serves you, including reflections of people in your life who are doing the judging and attaching, if you were doing that to yourselves, those people will leave because you no longer are doing that to yourself. Okay, so if you release judgments and attachments, everyone that was representing that will leave. I have lost hundreds of friends in a matter of a 2-week transition. Do you see how hard that is? It definitely feels like a rebirth, except that's only if you believe in death. Do we have a re-death too? That would suck. But that rake is a little bit like something that clears out anything that's just hanging on as you begin to accelerate into your fullness and Christ conscious energies again. And then you do it, you are feeling completely blank. When you come out the other side of this portal, oh my goodness, you feel so clear, but blank, sort of like, I don't know anything, and I don't know anything. I don't need to know anything. I feel completely safe. And it feels like a blankness, a stillness, a reset, if you will, from the way that Straya describes it to me. So we're actively working on transcribing this morning's channeling with everything that she said, but we had a little bit of a blip there, got distracted for a bit. So I will share that with you probably next time. I meant to have it for today, but with some things going on, we just couldn't. So within this rebirth and the filter and the raking, everything that's like cellular debris, like thousands and thousands of years on earth of karmic stuff that you are accumulating because you're doing this birth, cleanse, rebirth, birth, cleanse, rebirth, reset, birth, cleanse, rebirth, reset. Within that illusion of what humans call the matrix system, within that dream, we are creating and adding more expansion. But unfortunately, as we're expanding, sometimes karmic debris comes along. So in this particular 1212 portal, you are releasing that karmic debris because that portal is raking it out of you right in those final moments before you re-expand into your fullness of Christ energies and re-accelerate into the you, capital Y. Then you will feel this energy that feels very much like something is raking through you. I can't describe it other than that. It just feels like energy is coming through me from the top of my head all the way down to the tips of my toes. And then there's a vibration that doesn't stop. My ears have been ringing much more often than they ever have before. And it has been like, I can barely hear you right now. My ears are ringing so badly. I'm just so used to these sort of transitions. And I didn't think that this was going to be a big one. I'm like, well, shoot, last year's was terrible. How can it get harder? Well, it just did. It's like the universe upped the ante. Karen had a question. How does this process you just described relate to the sickness we have been feeling? Because you don't need it. That particular karmic debris is in association with little you that was going through this tunnel. So that's egoic, and you no longer need that because you are releasing your stories. When you release karmic debris, those are the stories of pain and suffering and trauma telling you who you are, but not what you are. So the who you are, all of those stories of past lifetimes that no longer serve you, it's coming out. That's why so many people are getting regressions right now. That's why so many people are sitting in quantum alchemy and any beyond quantum healing modalities, because they want to find out why the hell they're still hurting and getting sick and still hurting and getting sick. Well, as you go through this expansion, all of that knowledge and need to know you'll just go poof, it's gone. When you get to the end of that portal and you re-emerge, this is the year of emergence, 2018. That is what Estrella has shared to me. It is the year of compassionate service, unity, and emergence into your true self, capital S. Remember those words. We'll probably repeat them thousands of times as we talk about going into 2018. But the portal's still there. So right now, what I'm feeling and watching within the human collective, this is me before the portal, this is me during, we're about right here right now. We're feeling the raking right now. So all of your physical conditions and what you deem maladies and disease are no longer necessary, because when you start to be raked, you are resetting your entire mitochondria. This is where, what we talk about as ECK can come into play and become activated. And this is where your true I am presence, not the who, but the what, comes into place. We focus on the who all year long with I am this. Now we're talking about I am that. I am this is who, I am that is what. So that's what's going on. But within this karmic cleansing cycle, it just doesn't feel good because you get sick. And this is how Estrella explained it to me. She said, it's like when you grow up and you go through a really hard childhood. For me, and instance, I didn't have a particularly hard childhood, but I did not really like my town and I was ready to go. And as soon as I could, I'm like, I'm out of here. Daddy needs to buy me a car. And he did, and I'll pay for my car payments and insurance, and I'm going to get a scholarship and go to school just so I can get out, even though I don't want to go to school. I'm going to do it so that I can get out of here, out of here. So then you go, right? And then when you come back, you have to come back at some point because you are a teacher at that point. When you stand in mastery of specific lessons that you've learned throughout all of the recollection of the karmic debris, you get your mastery and you learn things. You integrate certain core beliefs, but as you do, you become a teacher of that same belief. So nothing is wrong. You're not doing something wrong that's causing you to need to reintegrate something, to need to go back into a regression and fix something. You are not broken. What's happening is you're becoming a teacher. You're becoming a master. So the master will go back through the grade levels to which he has formally visited and mastered and aced even. So like when you leave your childhood hometown, right? And you come back and you're like, hello, familiar friend of shame. Hello, familiar bully who now, has a bunch of kids and who's happy and who's successful or whatever, or perhaps not, whatever the case may be. Hello, former stepdad who's now retired and who I used to have screaming matches at. Hello, old childhood home. My partner was telling me that when he went back and revisited his childhood home, he viewed it so differently. He was like, wow, it's so small. When I was a little boy, I thought it was so big. How come I see things as so expansive when you're a child? And it was because he had this negative core belief of insignificance that he had mastered, and he didn't even know it. So visiting that made him realize how far he had come. So when I went back to my town, I'm like, oh, shame. Yeah. Revisiting this now, because what I did was, I was driving through, I saw my stepsister, and so many things were coming up about, because she and I had similar core beliefs of shame, and I just felt like hugging her. I'm like, look at you, you're doing so well. You've grown so much. And she was like, yeah, you have too. And no one can tell us that we haven't. And I'm like, yeah, that's right. No one's going to tell us we haven't, because look at us. We're okay. We're more than okay. And we just kind of like sat there and hugged each other, but when I saw some other people who weren't doing so well, I'm like, and they tried to pull me in, and they're like, oh, well, what kind of weird shit are you doing? Oh, you're an alchemist. What the hell is that? Get a real job. And I was like, I just laughed. They're like, why are you laughing, man? You're all talking to dead people, and your kids probably think you're psycho. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of funny having a psycho mom. Must be fun for them. I didn't even try to deny it. I'm like, well, I don't need to defend myself. I put down the sword and I put down the shield. I don't need to be offensive or defensive. I'm revisiting something that I've already mastered. So you will find people coming out of the woodwork. You got shame, people will come out of the woodwork to shame you. And this is a bit of a karmic test. It's like the universe saying, okay, this is a temptation. Are you going to go back and retaste that shame? Are you going to go eat that crow again, even though it's already burned and crackled and thrown into a million different disgusting, degrading pieces within you? Are you going to do it all over again or not? What are you going to do? It's a choice. And it's very tempting to go back into it and to believe that there's something in you that needs fixed, but you are perfect. Yeah, checking for your buttons, someone said. Yeah. Yeah, so you're emerging into your truth, into your power, and you're standing and accepting yourself, and you're standing in full-on acceptance and releasing the judgments. That is what that karmic cycle of cleansing and release feels. But when you come out of it, it's kind of this blankness, it's this weirdness where you feel nothing. One of you sat with me just yesterday, and I tried to explain this is not apathy, and I know that you're worried that it is, but it is a reset of stillness where you have to get used to the human condition. This is the only human condition that I'm seeing that's remaining for most of you watching, the human condition of boredom. And that is a condition that you need to be concerned about, because within the silence and stillness of yourselves, there should be no boredom. Sit with that. Ask yourself, who am I? And when you're done with that in 2017 and 2018, ask yourself, what am I? And your world is going to get bigger. But people are going to leave, or at least that is their perception of it. People that you really, really trusted. Betrayal, if you have that as a negative core belief, is going to come about and kind of be right smack in your face again. All of that stuff is going to be there, and then you're going to go into a stillness, which I call trust. Trust is stillness, the frequency of trust. When it begins to spin and accelerate and resonate into light, it feels still. It feels still in the same way that you understand that gravity exists, and yet the entire earth spins, and gravity is kind of still and quiet. It's just kind of the calm before what humans deem would be a storm. That is trust. So please understand that you are perfect. I'm open to your questions now. Let's check out our time. Yeah, we're still good. We still have about 5 more minutes. I should look down and see. I fell down the steps pretty bad, is what one of you is asking. And my guides told me I was clearing energy. Why would I have to fall for that to happen? Take a peek at what emotion occurred for you. And that would be something that you feel like maybe you're falling from grace. You feel like maybe the word falling, what is that a metaphor for, and how do you feel? That'll tell you a lot if you examine your feelings about having done that. Were you hard on yourself about it? Were you ashamed? Like, how did you feel about it? That was probably attached to the core belief that needed some transmutation. Some of your hair has fallen out behind your ear. Okay. Is it over here? Because I keep feeling I braided my hair before I got on here just to get it out of my face. That's completely fine. I'm not worried about my appearance too much. Operative word, too much. Yeah. Reruns. Yikes. Yes. 2017 is about that. Facing parts of yourself and making sure that you are really over it, that you have really cleared it. And also, in order to be a teacher, what do you teach? You teach things that you have mastered, do you not? So in order to get a newer version of it and a more expanded version, it would be like, you know, psychic development 101. You get past it, and what do you need to do in a third dimensional environment in order to get to psychic development 201? You then learn the same lesson harder. It's just like in school when you're going through algebra and they start out and you're like, got this, aced, until you get to calculus. And then it's the same principles applied and expanded, and 3 times as hard. So that is what has been going on in 2017, and that is the karmic cycle of cleansing and release that has embodied and exemplified the 1212 portal. Yeah. What are your questions? We have a few minutes to cover them. I'm ready for them. If you want a good cleansing drink when you're fasting, dandyblend.com. That's what I'm drinking right now. Tastes a little bit like coffee, for those of you who drink coffee. The arrival of twin flame. Is that what happened to you? Okay. Well, what's your question about it? You never really expect a twin flame. That is not something that most people are expecting. Yeah, dandy blend, you know, as in dandelion greens. That's what this is made out of. It's made out of dandelion greens and chicory root. So it gives you, the chicory root gives you a little bit of alchemical energy to the mitochondria when you're fasting. And the greens, the dandelion greens cleanse out, you know, what doesn't need to happen in your cells. Twin flames, yeah, they have been entering. When I was sitting in meditation, I think it was this past Tuesday, I had judged and attached this name to twin flames and relationships. And for those of you who were in my class when I talked about letter to the universe and how to attract a twin flame into your life, how to manifest it, you use a certain name. And my name was Beloved. When I met my current partner, he called me Beloved, and it was something that I got attached to. And then what I went through this year was he suddenly stopped calling me it. And I'm like, oh, that means he doesn't feel it. And then I was attracted to all these other, like, well, they were attracted to me. All these other twin flames were coming in terms of friends, like my friends Steve and Jen, they're twin flames. And I like really got close to them this year. And all these other people around me were meeting their twin flames, and they were treating each other how I wanted my partner to treat me. But we had gotten out of that whole, I don't want to be denigrating or anything, but we had really evolved out of the whole physical puppy love thing where it's like, oh, you're this to me and you're that to me and I can't do anything without you, which was like what most of the twin flames in my life were expressing. We are in this space where it's completely different. And when I asked him, like, why don't you call me by the name, you know, the name I manifested? Shoot, that was my attachment. He's like, well, because I have to be true to myself. That's not how I'm feeling. I feel like that was a space that we were in that was very puppy love and very physical and very, I can't live without you and all this stuff. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? He's like, well, it means we're beyond it. We expanded above it. We are to the place where physicality does not define who we are, and the hormones rushing through our systems are not defining what we are. So we went into this whole new space of love where he was viewing it as getting closer to me, and I was viewing it as, oh, you're not calling me the name anymore, and we're not really, you know, there's this little backup and some physical connection, so something must be wrong. No, because we stopped viewing ourselves as bodies, as sexualities, as something to which we attach as a need. And strangely enough, when I accepted that and I had an authentic conversation, you know, with my twin, I just went, you know, I am kind of done with the word twin even. I am done with the labels. I am done teaching about it because it gets so complicated. And quite frankly, it doesn't matter to me. I feel calm and happy and completely content with absolutely no label. I don't even want to get married. Like, so please don't ask me, because I will say no. I want no more labels in my life. No more. And it felt so free and so cleansing and so real. And then shortly thereafter, like strangely enough, all this physical connection started occurring between us, and we started getting close on that level again. Very strange stuff happening with the alleged twin flames. So 2018 is the year of dropping those labels and reconsidering that those labels can become attachments when you dictate and compress your entire life around a meaning, and it means something. What does that do? That does this to you, you know? And then you're in this stage of the portal and squashed all up because you are preventing your own expansion if there is a human label and a human definition attached. You understand what I mean? That's tough, huh? Bonnie, she says, I haven't been able to dream and remember in a long time, and I miss it. Is it something more to do for that? You can eat a little bit of protein right before you go to sleep. That'll normally speed it up. Take a little bit of CBDs or melatonin. Sometimes that helps. Normally, without dreaming, it either means you don't need to, or it could mean you simply are resting, and for that reason you wouldn't need to, or you're just integrated and you don't particularly require it. If you don't remember, it might be a lot that you're going through as well. There are several reasons why you don't dream. So trying to make something out of it and trying to define, well, there's a good or a bad reason, could be just an interesting reason of your evolution. It doesn't have to mean anything. So I wouldn't really worry about it. If you're not dreaming, I wouldn't try to force it, truly. Yeah, because it's just whatever is, the acceptance of what is the theme of where we're coming towards as we head out of this very difficult portal of 1212. Tressa said, I thought I was done with the relationships, and when we were kids, he was like a big brother. Yeah. Yeah. My current partner is 22 years my senior, and he felt, when I met him first, it felt a little bit more like a father figure. It was very unusual. Not so much now, obviously. But we were just friends when we met. But yeah, it's right when you think you're done with something, right when you think you know something, the universe will definitely challenge you. QHHT, or life between lives regression. Do you feel that one is more beneficial than the other? No. I feel like it's incredibly unique to each of us. And you need to sit with it and pull the question deeply into your heart and ask. Just sit with that. Just say, I invoke the I am, to ask which, if either of these processes are in my highest and best. And if it is not this, then give me something better. Maybe neither. You never know. Ask the question. Learn inquiry in a deeper way for that one. When will the portal close? January the 11th. It's like at its cleansing point on the 1st, and then closing finally on January the 11th. 1/11. Okay. I don't see any more questions, but we still have 2 minutes. So if there's anything else on your minds or hearts, now's the time. There's an interesting Course in Miracles principle that goes along. For those of you who don't follow A Course in Miracles, I really strongly recommend. I'm going to my weekly Thursday evening meetup class tonight for it. I always learn something. So there's an interesting Course in Miracles principle that will help you in understanding this portal. And this is what Yeshua says that it is. He says, what you acknowledge in your brother, you are acknowledging and facing and experiencing in yourself. And what you share, you strengthen. And keep in mind, back to me now, when Jesus interrupts, you definitely have to honor it. Remember what I was saying earlier, what was coming through from Estrella about your re-experiencing? That's more like an acknowledgement. You don't have to actually go into the experience. You acknowledge where you come from and what you learned, and then you share the lesson with your brethren. That's how that works. That's why we're here. So many people ask, why are humans here? The primary reason is love. Everything is love, or is it called to love? And then the secondary reason is to be helpful. That's it. That's it on the human conscious, larger scale, collective, grand level. Everything else is just personal missions that you choose that you do not actually have to do. Doesn't that feel good? To just say, hey, I'm not here to do something. I'm here to be. Anything else for me to let go of? Robin? I'd say it's fear of uncertainty is your final thing, but you're right on the precipice of that. But that's the 2017 theme for you. What does it mean when your soul is braiding? Huh? You had to ask the question that's probably going to take 20 minutes for me to explain. I've heard in visions, Randy says, I've heard in visions that I'm having a soul integration. Is this the same thing? Yes. To make it clear and precise and efficient, yes, that is what it means. It is a soul integration. I sat with a client just yesterday, and I have to do a drawing. Back to my favorite teaching tool, my good old trusty Sharpie. So I sat with a client yesterday, and she was like, I just got a little vision about the concept of time. And I saw this big spider web coming up and these little dots everywhere. So I'm going to show you what I saw when reading her, because I see this vision myself, but I have terrible rudimentary drawing skills. So this is a spider web. Yeah, I know, we're going to get there. This is a fragment of your soul. This is another. This is another. You see where I'm going with this? The big U here forgets that there's a big U here in the center of this web. The web is a metaphor for the matrix and the 3D illusion, the dream, if you will. When source splits, source goes, I want to be Pamela. And here's a fractal over here that wants to be Candace. Yeah, there's some truth in that, by the way. Here's a part of me that wants to be Candace's horse, Luna. I know, it's just, shit gets weird. Here's the part of me that wants to be one of Candace's crystals. Sorry, Candace, you get to be the call out on this. And as source splits, source learns what it's like to be Pamela. Source learns what it's like to be Candace. Are you guys seeing this? Source learns what it's like to be Luna. Source learns what it's like to be the crystal. And as she does that, she's like, oh, I learned what it's like to be Luna. So now I want to go learn what it's like to be Sierra. That's my cat. Those two have an interesting connection, Luna and Sierra. Yeah, and then if I'm over here learning to be Pamela, if I learn that, then I'm going to have a bigger, stronger connection to Candace. And then guess what? This is the emotional pathway that the neurons in your brain connect that causes a spark. And within this spark here, between these two, there is a memory and a pathway back to source. See how you're creating your own spider web? Every time you braid, you meet another soulmate or connection that brings you forth into who you are. So, once I learn what it's like to be Candace's crystal, I probably will formulate a connection to someone out here that I don't even know who they are or what they are, and I don't know that I am them and they are me. But as I do, when I do, there's a spark along that pathway, both spiritually and physically. Neurons meet in both of our brains. We remember who we are, and then we remember what fractal of source is. And we both get a connection back to our divinity. So you understand that, spiderweb? I know it's a bit of a complicated analogy, and I'm sorry to end upon something so complicated, but I tried to make it simple. I love you guys. I'm going to have to go spend some time with my family. But I'm looking forward to the channeling tomorrow. As stated earlier, Candace and I are finally getting ready to release our process that we've been working on for a while. And she is coming out to really, really sit with me so that we can put together materials, so that we can put together, a syllabus that can be easy for you to train your clients and for you to, if you would wish to be certified in it, for you to go that route and become your own trainer of it. So it's going to be a really beautiful thing for us to share. I've only shared it with a couple of people, and they really got a lot out of it. Had some miraculous healings, one of them, and had a lot of emotional healings, the other one. And then over the course of time, as I've been testing it on you guys without really telling you what it was, because I don't want to give away my process just yet, many of you have been coming back talking about the immense changes that you've experienced in your lives. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Candace is coming out in March. She's got plane tickets in hand and we're ready to go. We have this process copyrighted, and I did apply for a trademark this afternoon as well. So we have everything that's in process, and we're going forward with that. Yeah, Luna had a physical problem. So did Sierra. Sierra was vomiting everywhere and then meowing and getting psychotic and crazy and just being like absolutely neurotic. So those two must have had some little instant connection there for a minute. She's driving me crazy to the point where I'm like, she's like, she even meant to be my cat? Like, I can't keep cleaning up vomit. Maybe she belongs with like an old lady who has plenty of time to love her and give her the attention. She meows all day. If you're not petting her constantly, she just sits there and meows. Some of you told me it's kind of a Siamese thing, and I get that logically, but I'm going nuts. 3 a.m. Meow, 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 all the time. Yeah, the stomach thing, I had that last night and this morning with cleansing from the stomach. That's like the toughest part of fasting. All right, guys, I guess I am going to go now. And tomorrow, remember at 2 p.m., we're channeling Lilith as per your request and your voting. And, you know, white buffalo calf woman is a part of my ancestry. And goodness, I kind of so wanted to channel her because it's just easier. And she's just going to be sitting there talking about amazing, loving things. And Lilith is kind of, she's a challenge. You'll see. It's like Halel was, except incredibly catalyzing. To me, she's a trigger when I work with her. She triggers everything about me. So this should be really, really interesting. I'm glad I'm going to be in trance for it. I'm glad I don't have to feel it. She's highly controversial, and she gives you a version of love that you never even knew existed because she's not sentient. And she teaches from this vantage point of teaching you how to view how other people feel. So she teaches unity by teaching separation. It's very interesting. Very interesting. So I will see you for tomorrow. She's going to be something else, just something else. That's something that has to probably stay. It's so controversial that I'll probably keep it private. I know I said that about Halel too. But I at least like to give you guys first dibs to be involved in the questioning and to be involved in the whole process of unfolding that happens. But yeah, she's, you'll see. I can't even put words to what it's like to channel her. Some cats think of vomiting as a sport. Yeah, they absolutely do. Mine does. What is the draw to the being? I think that the human conscious collective wants to get to know her because she represents a part of the divine feminine that is currently unheard of and unmastered and unspoken for. And the divine feminine is trying to rise. Yet when her divine feminine collective was in command, if you will, for lack of better terms, the feminine were absolutely appallingly, devastatingly destructive to the divine masculine. So she actually teaches how to be a true goddess while lifting up the divine masculine as opposed to fighting. So she teaches the sword and the shield principles as well, just like Halel. They're very similar, but she teaches from the vantage point of, oh, you think you know what it's like to be a feminist. Now, let me really teach you how to be something. And the word feminist does not even apply to her. If you ask her if she's a feminist, she will spit fire at you. She's like, because to be that means that I am not the other. She's amazing. Yeah, Tressa said she's a ballbuster. That's a soft term. That's a soft term for it. For those of you who watched the Master LaValle channeling, I'd say those energies are similar. Yeah. So there's a reason why it's coming through. I don't know yet, and thank God I'll be in trance for it. So I love you guys. How do I end this thing? Keep forgetting how to end my, there it is. Okay. I really gotta go now. Namaste.